Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Story song, like last episode's Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot, leave a mark in our memories. Very little is needed to return them to the foreground of our minds. That's also the case with this episode's story song, another ballad, this time for Broadway, written by the fantastic Stephen Sondheim, a great in the American stagecraft. I first encountered this story not on the radio, but in my high school chorus class. The song comes from A Little Night Music, which premiered in 1973, while I encountered it in 1976. A Little Night Music is Sondheim's adaptation of Ingmar Bergman's 1955 film Smiles of a Summer Light. It's been performed by many great songsters: Sinatra, Streisand, Judy Collins, Judy Dench. The version in my head harkens to Bernadette Peters' performance. First to perform, though, and the singer for whom Sondheim intended the song was Glynis Johns. If you know Sondheim's work, you've already guessed the song. Send in the Clowns. Send in the Clowns has a strong structure, 4 stanzas with a bridge stanza between second and third. If you're not familiar with the song, head off to the show notes for links to the lyrics and a video performance by Peters and Sondheim together. The lyric link is rather curious. Every video performance that I checked, and it was not exhaustive, left out a second bridge, which AZ Lyrics includes. I can see the reason to omit the second bridge. It adds no extra meaning to the song, and it would have ramped up performance time to a solid 4.5 or 5 minutes. We've been conditioned to think songs should be 3.5 minutes. That's like thinking novels should be so many words long. Let the story dictate the number. If I'm really enjoying a story, I don't mind a little extra, as long as it doesn't belabor a point or labor the story. Anyway, 4 stanzas with a bridge is a strong case for a highly structured story. Every segment serving a purpose, each introducing a new point that adds clarity to the story. And that extra bridge added no additional information. Remember the 4 requirements of song? Clear communication is the first of the 4. Knowing we'll find a pivotal point in each segment helps the audience reach for and find those points. Send in the Clowns builds itself on contrasting imagery, dichotomies, the irony of a person trying to have a strong relationship with someone only to find themselves over and over at a great distance from that person. Isn't it rich? The opening phrase has nothing to do with wealth. It's an idiom used when we expect one thing only to have a result far from our expectation. That's Sondheim announcing his purpose with his opening, building trust with his audience. The dichotomy for this first couple: me here at last on the ground, you in mid-air. Those are weighted lines. It's not just that they are in opposite places with opposing expectations. Their personalities never matched. The speaker was hopeful, giddy with life and love, and all the potentials, while he, for the sake of clarity and harking to Sondheim's intent, let's refer to the speaker as she, and the person she's involved with as he. Anyway, he, on the other hand, speaks practicalities and realities during the first of their relationship. Now, she wants practical reality, and he's off on a giddy dream. Stanza 2 contains the dichotomy in another relationship, one who keeps tearing around, one who can't move. Do this and that. Let's try this and the other. And the one static, unable to move, is frozen, perhaps by memory of the first lost love. This is simple, powerful imagery. We see exactly what Sondheim means with a few words to create the vision. The second requirement of song. This imagery continues all through the song. Now we enter the bridge. She stopped opening doors. She stopped looking at other people. She's discovered that the one that I wanted was you. Happy at discovering this door and that what she truly needs is him, she goes to tell him, making her entrance with my usual flair, sure of my lines. And how devastating to discover he stopped waiting on her. He moved on, for she finds no one is there. Stanza 3 continues the mismatched chances, which are becoming a farce, which my handy Merriam-Webster defines as, in its fourth definition, a ridiculous or empty show, a mockery. All these mismatched relationships are becoming ridiculous, futile, a mockery of what a true connection between people should be. Our speaker did learn. We have enough of a glimmer in this stanza to realize that she tried to choose wisely. This time, I think, we have dialogue in this stanza where we've only had soliloquy thus far. He apologizes for breaking the relationship she had such hope for. My fault, I fear. Her plaint is, I thought that you'd want what I want. And his feeble excuse in response is, sorry, my dear. The Glynis Johns YouTube video strongly hints at this dialogue idea. If this were a novel, we would see the book building, wouldn't we? Stanza by stanza, chapter by chapter, act by act. 4 examples of her hopes and dreams crushed, even when she chose wisely. And look how Sondheim builds his stanzas. Isn't it rich? Isn't it bliss? Don't you love farce? Followed by the dichotomy of mismatched loves. Thus we come to the last stanza. Isn't it rich? Isn't it queer? The old definition of eldritch strange, magically different from our expectation. As if the fates are waving a wand to doom our speaker. What is the last irony? She's losing her timing this late in my career. Now, here at the end, when we most fear being alone as we stare at our aging years, she's lost her timing. She can't even strike a match. Clever Sondheim doesn't use a single obvious comparison or statement. His ballad is rich with metaphors, but they're all hidden, implied. Me on the ground, you in midair, one tearing around, one who can't move, opening doors and making an entrance. All metaphors, unstated as such, but clear in meaning to us all. All through, we felt our speaker's heartbreak, and now we feel her futility, her hopelessness, her knowledge that no longer can she even search to find a sense of meaning in her meaningless world. This emotional connection we feel for the speaker, that's the third requirement of song. The fourth requirement of song is to have powerful lines, and that leads us straight to the ballad, for we have a single line, repeated consistently in every stanza, and with extra emphasis as the story progresses. Each stanza ends with "Send in the clowns." These are not circus clowns, as Sondheim himself explained in an interview. Instead, they are jesters, the fools, who come on stage to distract the audience from the descending doom or the angsty tragedy. And that's what our speaker faces after wrong choices in life. Faced with a doomed future, the speaker looks around for the clowns, the fool who makes mockery of the stage events, keeping the audience light-hearted, while the speaker's heart is torn and tattered, devastated and destroyed. We should have expected that, knowing this musical is an adaptation of an Ingmar Bergman film. We should have known. Bergman is all modern futility. His film Smiles of a Summer Night is not a comedy. Those smiles are not from laughter. They're the rictus, teeth-baring mask we show to the world instead of the weeping we desperately need to do. Yet once we start weeping, we know we can't stop. Stanza 2 asks the question, where are the clowns? Send in the clowns. Our speaker is realizing she's a toy of fate, of karma. What is it that Romeo laments when he realizes he's murdered his love's beloved cousin? Oh, I am fortune's fool, the plaything of fate, of chance, of whatever is already written in the stars. Stanza 3 increases. Where are the clowns? There ought to be clowns. Send in the clowns. Our speaker recognizes her mismatched love life is a show of mockery. She knows tragedy calls for the fool to come on stage and distract the audience. The problem is that the fool doesn't come on stage to distract the audience or even the actors. We suffer our tragedies, and we know they're real, not a show to entertain, unless we are entertaining gods watching our pitiful show, the ones moving us around on a chessboard to see how we survive this crisis or that one. The song ends with the repetition of what has become the futile lament. Where are the clowns? Quick, send in the clowns. Don't bother, they're here. And our speaker ends with the epiphany she shares with us. We are the fools. We, the ones on stage, enacting these mockery of futile loves, we are the clowns. And our audience is not the people in the theater seats, or the friends or enemies who are watching our failures, but the ones who control our fates, some sort of universal beings who are entertained by our tragic devastation. I have serious problems with where this examination of Send in the Clowns just walked me. My God is not malevolent or even uncaring, indifferent or wanting entertainment. This is the reason I don't read or write modern literature and postmodern literature, that and the wealth of weeping and the depressed mood I'd have for a month or more. It's not just the repeated lines that make this song a ballad. Love, betrayal, and death are the three subjects of a ballad, remember? Our speaker is betrayed by all the loves she's lost, and all these lost loves are the death of her hopes, her dreams, her potential, her future, an aging future, alone and lonely. It's depressing. It's lovely, but it's depressing. The musicality matches. A slow song with no building crescendos. The hopeful bridge is a powerful swell of sound. But as the speaker missed her chance, the sound decreases. What can we fiction writers take as lessons from this story song? As mentioned, a strong structure for each segment, each conflict a clearly different iteration. In my reading, the same problem sometimes occurs over and over, leaving me with the belief that our protagonist is too stupid to live because she doesn't learn, or that the villain is weak and will be easily overcome. While mismatched loves were the problem, each couple was mismatched in different ways. So these are different conflicts, unexpected. Second, simple imagery can be extremely powerful. A belabored metaphor is not a strong metaphor, and we can become bored as the belabored metaphor works through. Obscure images do not resonate with our audience. The imagery takes on additional power when it is paired with its opposite. And look, our subject is mismatched love, and this song is built on opposites, matched dichotomies all through. As we saw the dichotomy, then again, then a third time, we began to anticipate it and to understand its thematic purpose. Use simple imagery to create vivid images for the audience. Third, use repetition of a key line at expected locations, the end of the pivotal scene in each different segment, or the beginning of the pivotal scene. Keep that repetition far apart in fiction. One of my all-time favorite stories begins with an unusual phrase, the clove of seasons, which is repeated at the beginning of the structural climax segment of the story. A clue. This whole story has been leading to this point. That single repetition of the unusual phrase signals us that the important point is approaching. As writers, we are often told to avoid cliches. Here's my fourth and final lesson. In Sending the Clowns, Sondheim uses cliches. Isn't it rich? Isn't it bliss? Don't you love farce? Sorry, don't bother. All these had great impact. Have a reason to use a cliche or an idiom. Have a reason for every bit of repetition, for every metaphor. Otherwise, if we can't say the reason that these build our theme, what was it Faulkner said? Kill your darlings. Enough for now. Right on. Every writer is after memorable writing, whatever will strengthen our words and ideas so they haunt our audience. We want our audience to return again and again to our writing, either to recapture that original impact or to puzzle out a question that wasn't answered, capture our audience, and they stay with our writing to the end, satisfy our audience, and they seek more of our writing. This is our goal. Win-win, us and them. Our series, Fall into Poetry, would seem to appeal only to poets, but that's a surface glance. We writers can learn from any writing style, poetry teaching fiction, dramas teaching nonfiction, any mix-up we can contemplate. Join the Right Focus all through autumn as we examine great poems that teach a multitude of lessons for all writers. Thanks for listening to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at linkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.